Welcome back to the show, everybody. He's Dan Shaughnessy. I'm Ben Volin. We're live from the San Francisco Chronicle newsroom, wrapping up Super Bowl 60 week here in San Francisco. Dan, I was here for like 9 days. You were here for a long time as well. Our heads are spinning a little bit, but it was still, even though the Patriots got blown out, still a memorable week out here for Patriot Nation and for the media here in San Francisco. What were some of your favorite memories from the week?
I still love the city. It's been great being down here. I know you all don't care at home. We're in San Francisco for a week, but don't believe everything you hear and read. It's still a lovely town and having some hard times. There's a little bit of a homeless community, things like that. Not as great as it was maybe 30, 40 years ago, like a lot of things, like the newspaper, like us, etc. We're still trying. But again, have some empathy. This was a great town. They did a great job as a host city. And we just have these memories of being here for the whole week. And they're fun memories. I mean, I know what Ben Volin's going to say, so I'm going to say it before he does. You know, we were in a hotel where Malcolm Butler was in our hotel. It's pretty cool. You're in a hotel with Malcolm Butler. We're at the Super Bowl. And he was sitting at the bar one day, not having any alcoholic beverages, but he was watching the feed behind the bar, and it was the Super Bowl that Malcolm Butler became famous, making the play against the Seattle team. So Malcolm Butler watching Malcolm Butler, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that was such a mind-blowing event. I think that was Thursday or Friday. We walk into the hotel bar, and there was Malcolm Butler sitting at the bar watching Malcolm Butler. Just a beautiful meta moment. And Malcolm Butler was great and very gracious all week, although what was interesting was he wasn't
he's still not telling.
Right, yeah, and he didn't want a ton of attention that he was actually watching his own game at the bar. But that was a tremendous sight. For me, some of the top memories of this week were honestly how the game was really secondary to a lot of other storylines.
Yeah.
You had the Hall of Fame voting. Everyone was talking about Belichick. Tony Dungy refusing to give up who he voted for. Kraft. You had Kraft ducking out of media day, obviously not talking to reporters where he usually does. Bad Bunny was a big story this week. It was like everything but the game.
Yeah, I got to go to the Sports Hub Super Bowl party. That was kind of fun. Zoe's over there and all their talents. And Marty Meehan, who's always there. We're talking to Marty Meehan about the UMass football team. Not a happy topic, as we know. And Maura Healey was in town. She came by our hotel. We saw her out and about. She likes sports. And during the game, she was texting me like, what are they doing? Kind of thing. So the governor had the same questions that you had at home while watching that game. And Super Bowl always brings out, you get some personalities, you get stars, you get politicians and like that. But it's still a good city for the fans to come to as well. And I think the fans here who did make the trip, maybe didn't get their money's worth out of those tickets, but they had a good time here, I hope.
Yeah, I think the governor told us that this was her first trip to the Super Bowl, so I hate to say it, but maybe she's the jinx for the Patriots.
When you're walking around a Super Bowl host city, I was on Ellis Street, my favorite restaurant in the world, John's Grill. Thank you very much. And there's a guy, you all see people throwing footballs and fans and this and that. And there was a guy chucking footballs in the middle of the street like you'd see in a college quad or something. But the ball is going. It was like Doug Flutie's Hail Mary. It's going like 60 yards in the air. I'm like, this is not a regular fan at this game. So as I got closer to him, I said, who are you? He's all Matt Sims. His father's Phil Sims, Super Bowl winning quarterback. He played in the NFL. He played for Tennessee. But you can tell a professional quarterback, even in street clothes on the street, just chucking the football around.
Yeah, the ball comes off their hand a little bit differently. I'll remember this week, too, for Tom Brady stepping in it. He famously said on his podcast that he doesn't have a dog in the fight. And you know what? I'll give his ex-teammates credit. They didn't just, shy away and not make comments. They came out. I mean, Brewski, Will Fork, Asante Samuel, these guys came out and were like, what the heck, Tom?
Not okay, Tom.
How do you not have a dog in this fight?
You have a statue, and you said I'm a Patriot forever.
And I get it. He ended up hiring the Seahawks offensive coordinator as his head coach for the Raiders, and he probably doesn't want to offend anyone. But there's a way to thread that needle where you can say, obviously I'm rooting for obviously my heart is with the Patriots, but I just hope for a good game. And I don't think anyone would have blamed him if he had said that.
Thank God Bill and Jordan weren't here. That's all I know.
And you know what? The best celebrity sighting for the week, and we got about a minute here, is Dan Shaughnessy. You want to walk with a celebrity. Walk through downtown San Francisco with this guy. Walk through the Super Bowl with this guy. Yeah. Fans constantly stopping him, wanting to take his picture, share a story about the Red Sox.
Bring a suit of armor.
This guy was the biggest celebrity.
You need a suit of armor for some of those walks, and that's okay. We appreciate the passion of our fans, good and bad. They're great fans. Thanks for making the trip out here. Thanks for reading the Boston Globe. And don't forget, the Boston Globe sent about 17 people out here to bring the story to you, and that's old school media. We appreciate that.
Yeah, a lot of resources, and we even had print papers on the site here. Our good friend Sal Palantonio of ESPN holding it up on SportsCenter yesterday, the same week that the Washington Post cut their sports section. So I thought it was great to see the Globe showing up in force, having great coverage all week, and then having our print papers out here in San Francisco.